Orale, my vatos. So this is the JL Audio 10W6 version 2 motor. It's got that cool venting. See, as you can see, it's a regular T-yoke, but it vents out, it gets spread out. I don't know, I guess it's so you can, I don't know, actually it doesn't do anything. So, but whatever, it's JL. I'm sure it's patented. So I'm putting the typical 4-spoke on here, also known as the Brazilian. And I'm using the, I think these were first done by Phi, because when he broke away from RE, he was like, fuck that torque shit. And so I get them with the long stems on them, and then what I do is well, Sherry does. Sherry breaks the 2 so that we can put braided in there. So, but she does like 100 at a time. She'll do a whole bunch for me. So the problem I ran into is that I'm out of spiders that have a 2.5, or in this case 2 3/4 ID and 8-inch OD. So I'm out of those spiders. So what I'm using is some of these concept ones that don't have any leads on them. And so I found that even just like this, I just cut it right there, and it turns out really great. I'm actually using 2 because when you use just one, what that ends up doing is it ends up being about the same as what JL does, which is a really, really soft suspension, and I'm not a fan of that. It wears out quicker. So what I use is I just double it up. And typically what that does is it gives it about an FS, probably before break-in, of about 35 Hertz, which isn't too bad for a 10. Typically 10s don't play really low, so if I use it without, it'll play down to probably I don't want to say 25, but probably in the high 20s. It's pretty floppy butthole, mostly because this cone is pretty heavy. So that this is a much heavier cone than what JL uses originally. So again, it doesn't really change the parameters too much. The other thing I don't like is the coils that I got were made by PE, but I wasn't real specific about it. I didn't know as much as I do now. And so I said, well, I just need them to fit the W6 gap. And they couldn't legally make me a copy, right? Because that's JL's coil, they paid for that. So I had to make me something else, and I'm not really satisfied with it. But I've had really great results with it. One of the problems is that it's made out of aluminum, so I have to be very delicate with the leads. Can't tell you how many leads I've broken and had issues with. And so what I did was I'm going with the concept cone that I have available. This is the standard one that you saw with a Dyer and RE audio. I went ahead and this comes as a 2.5 in this version. It comes in a 3-inch and a 2-inch and all that shit, but from the factory. And from the sound down. This is William Orbit, by the way. He produced Madonna's Ray of Light, and that's off his Strange Cargo album, which is really, really good. It's trippy. It's a trip EDM before it was popular. But anyways, so it's a semi-pressed cone, meaning pressed once. Paper with a foam surround, pretty fat looking. And then what I'll do is I'll put a dish cap in here, and then put a JL logo on it. So, but oh, somebody's beating me up over the actually a couple guys. They're like JL fanboys. They're so funny because the great thing about sundown net huggers is that like they're just very aggressive, right? That's really the only thing that makes them special, is they're just really aggressive, and they can be aggressive about anything. But so sundown guys are aggressive about sundown. JL guys are dumb. They don't know any better. They don't know any facts. They don't know any real specs. They're not technical like engineer types, but they're willing, they spend their hard-earned money to pay. I think this fucker goes for $600. That's crazy, but they're willing to pay for it, and they get mad when I advertise on there, like this is JL. Or in the case of the amp that I just got in, that sample amp, that silver amp I told you about, it's got all the I forgot about it. It's actually a sample that I got. It was the last one they had in that heatsink. I got it posted. I'll post a link to it, and it's got all the controls on one side, and we got some in rose gold, which I found somebody else selling the same amp, and I'm still underneath his price by I think $50 or $25, and I give a 3-year warranty. So, but in this case, I'm actually offering the 3-year warranty now as an option. You don't have to get it. Like I said in the last video, it's kind of a waste, but if you still want it, I'm not going to turn down money, right? At least not all the time. Sometimes I do. Principle's more important than money sometimes. So, but so anyways, it's an amp that I say it's 1200 watts at least. It probably does closer to 1500, and it's 1 ohm stable. and 3-year warranty, and it's only $350 shipped. But it's the size of a JL Audio 500/1, and it has more power than the 1000/1. So in fact, it's fused at 120 amps. So, but the JL guys are not having it. They're just like, this is not old school. I'm like, well, it's an alternative to an old school amp. Like, that's how I'm advertising it. I'm not saying that this has the same guts or anything like that. And so they get really upset. So I'm like, read the fucking ad. And then he's like, I'm not telling Facebook, I'm going to tell JL on you. I'm like, good, tell Manville. Man, I don't give a shit about Manville. I'm not scared of him. He's just a regular dude that lives here in the valley, just like me. So, but he's in charge of a lot more shit than I am. So he's in charge of the JL marketing network. So, and really stomping out trademark infringement, which I was not doing, but that's fine. I think it's hilarious. So anyways, back to this one. So I'm using the cone that I got out of the concept buyout, and what I did was I necked it out. These the ones that I'm using came as 2.5, and I just necked it out with a hole saw to 2 3/4, and then I made some notches for these to fold back up in there. So what's really amazing about this glue that I'm using is it's still sticky, and I think this cone is actually 20 years old. That's what's great about it. It's been kept indoors, air conditioned, and it's still just fucking fine. So but it's got real copper inside the leads, and then it comes through here, which was great. I had never heard of this type of termination until Corey Dean of SPL Audio said that he did it, and I've seen it actually on I think a couple of Rockford subs too. But and then of course Concept was the OEM for a bunch of brands. So, but this is how we'll do it, and it works great with these high roll leads like that. So it'll come in like this. I don't know if you can see that. And then I should be able to either bend it down or something like that to get it to position so that I can solder it after. That's the only pain in the butt, is that I probably want to not epoxy it, but solder it first, and then go back and jizz the middle, and then do the outside. So, but of course the best way, of course, is with the leads already sewn onto the spider. But I don't have that option because I'm out, and these are overdue. I fucked up the coils the first time. Actually, it wasn't my fault, but well, I will take responsibility. How's that? There were some glue drips, and I had to redo them. And again, those tinsel leads are aluminum. I'm not a fan of aluminum. Again, somebody else was talking about Power HX2. Everybody loves that one, right? Well, the original ones used a copper coil, a heavier copper coil, and they sounded really fucking amazing. But Rockford switched to aluminum to save money because the price of copper started going up, and aluminum is much less costly than copper. And then so they go, well, we can't use the same suspension, so they lightened up the suspension. What do you know? You save money on the suspension as well. And then they kept the same rubber surround, so which is but all those parts were American made, or made by Holley, New Way, and then of course I think either at the time it would probably be either Krentz or PE made the coils. So Krentz used to be coil maker, and then him and his dad went to work for PE. So when they finally folded things, and then there was another company called Totem that used to make some weird coils, I think, for PPI. What's his name? Ryan Bolins. Was it Boland? Bolins, yeah, Ryan Bolins, who used to he used to do tech support for Orion. I made friends with him at the auction, and he had a couple boxes of Totem coils. So, but Totem is no longer. Brief history for. All this shit's in my head, man. It just sits in my fucking head, and I don't have anybody to tell. I don't have a son to punish with all my information. So you guys are my kids. I got to take care of you, feed you knowledge, so you can do recones at home. This all I did was just so you know, just for information, the W6, the 10-inch W6 motor is slightly smaller. It also has a slightly smaller bolt hole circle, and it uses a 5-bolt pattern, which again is, my opinion, very dumb. And then also on the original frame, it uses a much bigger spider, which is a mistake, because what ends up happening is it wears heavy on the surround, and that's why you end up having to refoam, not recone, but refoam. The foam surround wears out first, because that's the weak link. In this case, this is more appropriate. This is basically a 2.5-inch coil, 2 3/4, and we're using an 8-inch spider, which is plenty. We'll get full excursion, which will be about 2-inch peak-to-peak linear, and like that's like a mechanical. That's not like X-Max. X-Max. Let me see if I'll show you the coil. That looks like about 50 millimeter, so 2 inch. So, and it uses a Kapton former, which I'm not a fan of. But the gap is really, really thin. It's a 4-layer. I would have, if I had to do it over again, I would have used copper. Probably like a really thin gauge, like a 22 or a 24 gauge. So, which is fine. But I think that's all I want to tell you about. So I'll mark this as the JL Audio 10W7. Oh, that was the other thing. Okay, so sorry, I got a little sidetracked. The 12-inch has a slightly larger bolt hole circle and also a slightly larger magnet. So if you want to make a beefy 10, you can also do that. Just remember that you have to use a frame that has a larger platform to go out this way. I'll probably use, that's why on the 12 I typically use the Soundstream tarantula frame, or even the claw frame that you can get from PSI or whenever they're selling stuff. I got all mine from the Cerwin Vega buyout, Cerwin Vega Mobile. They were using it on the VMAX series, so, and I still have some of those left. But I think that was it. Thank Gonzo, it's Base Friday. I'll see if I can get some woofer porn going. Oh, I got Curtis, Navajo Curtis, his 18 done, so I'll do some woofer porn on that for you guys later. So somebody was like, hey, the spider's too small. That's a 10-inch fucking spider. So, and that is one of the cool things about this frame, is that it has a 10-inch landing, 11-inch landing, and then a 12-inch landing. So and then I think there's several variations to it, where, like, I think Scar, they didn't steal the tooling. What they did was they probably borrowed the tooling, or the drawing at least anyway, and then they put in some other stuff, like they put in vent holes, which was a good idea. I would have done something to make this removable, so you can fit a little wrench in there, but that's just me. And then I think they marked it with their stamp in it. So, but yeah, Scar basically ripped off the design, but it's more than 10% different, so it's not a patent violation. So that's how they're able to do that. And then I think, these are Sundown terminals. I think these are the old ones. They came with the frames. So local guy had, he had these. They were like ZV4s, and the recons they sent him were for the 6-spoke frame. Oh, just by the way, I had some guy get really mad at me. This frame also has 6 spokes, but it's not considered the 6-spoke frame. It's considered the tooled Sundown frame, or also known as a cast Sundown frame. It's because Sundown is the one that originally tooled up this frame. But yes, it has 6 spokes, but it's not known as the 6-spoke. So this is known as the 4-spoke, and then the 6-spoke version, which is only on the 18, that is known as the 6-spoke. So also known as the 689 frame, if you want to get technical about the fucking part. But and this is the Mac. I had 2 left of the thick top plates, and so I gave these to Curtis, and then we just used the bearing spacers from Skateboard to space it, and then it does use the adapter so that you can use the standard 6-hole pattern, because for some reason they tooled up this frame with a larger 8-hole, which I think is probably, I don't want to guess. Anyway, it's a larger 8-hole pattern, and why they did that, I don't know, but they did. So they have to sell an adapter too. But I think that was it. I got the coil surgery done for the RE for this guy. So I'll be putting that together, and then I still got to put all the things in for these, and then for the 21s. So I think the coils on those, I think these are for something else. I think those are for some 18s. There we go. These are for some 18s right here. That little guy right there. But busy. Thank you guys for your support, and I love you. I will talk to you later.